Now, the Queen celebrates her official birthday today with the traditional Trooping the Colour parade.
That's right, and in a statement released this morning, she says it's difficult to escape a very sombre mood following the recent tragedies in London and Manchester. We're here in the studio with Isabel and myself is royal commentator Ian at Pelham Turner. Ian, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
I don't even know where to start with you. First of all, your reaction to this statement. I thought it was so interesting that there's hardly, if any, mention of her birthday at all. It's just a one line saying usually this would be a time to celebrate. However, I'm going to talk about these recent tragedies.
I was just saying to my royal colleague Helena Sharp before I came on, I think this is the most historic missive from the Queen in many, many years. I was watching you when you first did it as breaking news earlier this morning. It reminded me straight away of Princess Elizabeth with her Princess Margaret when they did their first radio broadcast in the 1940s during the war to actually tell children of the world how they felt and how they empathised with the whole situation. That's exactly what that message has done this morning. It is so important, I feel, these days for the communities to understand that there is people out there. I mean, I know, I run a project called Good News Britain, and I know how important the royal family is to the communities in Britain. They really respect them. And when they see something like that, the value of that, I think, is enormous.
See, it's interesting you talking about the Second World War, because I'm just trying to look back at when the Queen has come out in the way she has come out during this week, and I couldn't think of anything, I guess, the war.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because I think the reality was something like this. I was shocked, if I'm honest. I was shocked to hear that statement this morning. I think it's such a powerful statement. You know, the reality right now is, you'll probably understand, is that all the diversity communities need to come together. They need to feel respected, they need to feel like first-class citizens, and what the Queen has done this morning has, I feel, created that exactly the right feeling.
I mean, you were booked to come in, weren't you, before the statement was released this morning? And when I was looking through the guest list, I was thinking, gosh, how is the Queen, having come from, Grenfell Tower yesterday and meeting survivors and hearing wailing children, grieving, going to be then going down the Mall in a carriage with all the pageantry, and this statement picked up on that mood very astutely, didn't it?
It did, because, I look at all these things. I mean, I work with my colleague William Cooper, who actually first started off Good News, and he has been working on all the tragedies in the past few months. He has seen at first hand, and it almost honours him as well as an individual that the Queen recognises what is going on at the moment. And I think, as she said today, yes, I mean, there is a lot of hope out there. But that's the thing I think we have to emphasise as well. There is so much hope out there at the same time of what can happen. And I think right now, people like the royal family, especially William, all of them are now doing their level best to actually talk to the communities and say, there is a future.
And the reaction's been amazing, really, throughout. Yeah, I can't remember a time where I've seen the royal family so popular amongst people.
No, I mean, to actually see what's happening right now, I think is historic. I think that is going to be one of the most historic messages that will come out, from the royal family for a long, long time.
And let's not forget, Prince William himself, a Kensington resident, just down the road. There's been all this kind of veiled criticism of rich people in the borough, because we've been talking about the inequalities surrounding this tragedy. And yet they managed to tread that path, don't they? They're obviously super privileged, incredibly wealthy, and yet very in touch with ordinary people.
Well, obviously, because, I mean, he's air ambulance. I mean, that's his training. He will understand. He will have seen at first hand similar tragedies that what's happened. I was watching, I think Sky News, I take my hat off to Sky News, because I think the reality is you've actually brought the empathy of all the communities right now, and I think you're probably the best channel for actually doing that at the same time. It's so important to actually show what the communities are feeling.
And talking of diversity, then, what are your thoughts on the honours list itself? A lot of diversity and a lot of honouring those who have been involved in these tragedies in any way, shape or form.
It's a start. I don't think 10% is nearly enough, if I'm honest. And it was from what I understand, it was only done because it's the centenary of the OBE and the MBE, and so they thought 10% of the... I recognise every single day what diversity communities bring to Britain, and I think they should be much more highlighted than they are today. You know, and we try to do it through our TV programme on Good News Britain, but at the same time, there are so many people there who really should be honoured a lot more than they are.
And just lastly, it is Trooping the Colour today. That
Yes.
will go ahead.
Yes.
You know, say what you like, the Queen will always stick to her plans.
Absolutely.
What can we expect from today? All the traditional pageantry, which colours will be chosen?
I think, well, I mean, colour-wise, that's going to be, that's her own statement. I think the only bit of gossip to look for today is whether the Harry's girlfriend
Chelsea. Oh, no, not Chelsea. That's the old one. Goodness me. Someone help me. It's tipped my tongue.
The problem is at the moment is that two of his former girlfriends are as well on Love Island, so that's causing him embarrassment.
Now you're losing me.
You've been watching in your free time, Love Island. Interesting.
Well, I pick these things up.
Yeah, sure you picked it up in the press. You've been watching. So it should be quite interesting because you've always got a little bit of gossip for us.
I always know the gossip. So the point, I predicted 4 or 5 weeks ago on Sky that I think they're already engaged. I think the Queen...
No, come on. Why do you think that?
You know what, he got it right when on the actual Pippa's wedding day, in terms of how it all went, in terms of Meghan not turning up for the actual wedding, going to the reception,
that's a bit spooky.
Back.
Well,
but anyway, yes, you
heard it here first then, apparently.
You never know, it might not be, but yes, that's a prediction from Ian after watching Love Island.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Plenty more still to come here on Sunrise, the most diverse Queen's birthday honours list ever.
Available to buy and keep in Sky Store.